I always feel like when I sit down to do one of these discussion videos, I really do need to spend a little bit of time letting you guys know what the video is. If you guys are new to the channel, and we've had a lot of new subscribers to this channel, welcome in everyone. I'm so glad you're here. A green post, if you ever look at the thumbnails or the playlists, this is a discussion, sitting down, talking about something that is going on within the community that you see over on Reddit or the forums, and generally weighing in with my thoughts. And I like to follow these videos up occasionally with, community feedback, where I look at y'all's comments and we continue that discussion. So welcome in everybody. I'm so thankful that you've all chosen to hit the subscribe button here on this channel. It really does mean a lot to me. But today we're going to be talking about bots, the problem about bots, and how in New World, just like any other MMO, they're going to be a consistent issue that we'll be fighting for all of time. And the reasons to why we'll see that and why that's happening, especially if this is your first MMORPG, it might concern you that there are bots, or it might frustrate you that there are bots, and all these things are valid for sure. But I want to give you guys my view as a longtime MMO player, as a software engineer myself, as to the problem, what AGS ultimately can do better. I think that's going to be kind of the real big thing that I think is actually probably low-hanging fruit and an easy win for the dev team. But I'm going to share that with you guys in today's video. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian, if you happen to be new, but returning subscribers, you look dadgum fantastic today. And that's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments somewhere right near the start of these videos. Now, clearly, if you guys have been following over on the forums or on Reddit or within the YouTube algorithm itself, I've seen a couple of posts talking about the issue of bots in New World, and also using bots as a way of trying to discredit New World's continued growth week over week and month over month. Bots are going to be a problem in any MMORPG, regardless of your view of them. They've probably always been there. I've even heard people go and do some interesting juggling of logic to try and justify the reason to botting. But I'm not here to say that botting is good. In fact, I think it's actually bad. I think it's bad on the economy. I think it's bad on the game because ultimately, if prices start to rise up, that actually creates demand, and maybe even players who have time and want to make a little extra gold could go and farm those different resources, and they're not going to be competing against AI. They're not going to be competing against, machines that they don't need sleep or don't have resources. And so I'm definitely anti-botting in these type of games specifically. Now, in a single player game, go cheat the heck out of it if you want to go cheat. I don't care. You're not impacting my gameplay. You're not impacting a multiplayer session. You're just cheating yourself, or sometimes that's fun. I remember game genies back in the day being really fun to see what you could do in these kind of games. So I'm not making a judgment on that. But in a multiplayer game, we're all kind of in this together, and so I'm definitely anti-bots. But they're going to always be a problem within MMORPGs. They've been a problem within MMORPGs since I started playing back in Final Fantasy XI, and they're going to be a problem, for years and years to come. And there's some technical challenges for this, and I want to bring up Final Fantasy XI as a really good example. I recently had a friend get banned from the private server for Wings, FFXIV Wings, because they thought he was a bot, and he was AFK. They messaged him in game, and eventually they decided that, he was a bot, and so they banned him. And so he can't go and play on that character anymore. And we don't want that kind of authoritarian, instant kind of, hey, you must be a bot because you didn't reply to me. And that's the problem, right? We don't want that in New World. And so when it comes to a live service game, even in Final Fantasy XI Retail, there's a level of investigation. There's a level of kind of, I guess, due diligence that you have to go and take to ensure that the person is in fact botting. And New World has things like easy anti-cheat, like going on behind the scenes. And so there's different elements that they have at their disposal to try and determine if someone is actually a bot. In fact, if you guys don't follow Jay Oddity, he recently did a video in which he was kind of going around the world actually like messaging people. And he said some people he thought were bots weren't bots. They ended up getting to a conversation together, and maybe some of that could have been fake, but to a degree in which that, why is somebody botting? What is the return value on it? And yes, AI and things like that are going to make it even more challenging to detect if someone is a bot, because you have that efficiency, you have that little bit of randomness that you could put into a script that ultimately tries to make it harder to detect, so to speak. And that's essentially kind of the challenge. So what you can do as a player, if you haven't been aware, I would make sure that if you think you see a bot, report them in game. That's the best way that the devs can kind of get a hold of the telemetry data, dive into kind of the core aspect, message and find out if in fact they are botting, look into any kind of logs necessary, and put a ban out into it. In fact, that's actually what you see on the official forums. All in all, you end up seeing multiple people talking about that they are seeing different bots, right? You report a bot and you're not seeing the same bot over and over again, but you are seeing new bots. And there's a weird balance here, right? Because every bot you see in the game is a bot that bought the game, and so there is a financial incentive for those jumping in and actually trying to bot. But there's also that level of risk, and that's why I always am behind buy to play as a MMORPG model, because free to play means there's really no risk. If your account gets banned, you can create endless amounts of accounts, and thus you could have endless opportunities to perfect and work your bot. In a game that's buy to play, there is an upfront cost every time you choose and try to do so. So every time we catch a bot and ban them, I mean, I guess that's just free money for the game, because if they're going to go out and try again, then they're going to have that cost to them. There's a risk, there's a cost. And so that essentially is going to be one of the determining or deterrent factors in New World and any other, buy to play or subscription based MMORPG. The reason why this obviously is very challenging is, namely, you can have players who can play extremely efficiently, and what you try to do is create different kind of models that essentially alert you to certain things within the game itself, but that doesn't mean it's a guarantee. It just ends up meaning there's going to be a lot of time, effort, and struggle and investigation that has to occur to make that determination. And I think essentially at the end of the day, the best thing we can do as a community is report them when we see them and let the system handle it. But that's where AGS, I think, can do a much better job. And it's at this point, guys, if you've made it to this part of the video, if you hit that like button, it's a really great way of helping these videos out in the algorithm. Subscribing is also another excellent way, commenting. And if you guys want even more content in your day, I have Epic Loot Radio, which is a podcast. Links are all in the description. We also film live every Wednesday, and I've got a couple of extra special guests. We had to delay the Force podcast, but he's coming on next week. We're actually going to do that on Tuesday. So hopefully you guys tune in for that as well. Again, check out Ginger Prime for more of those bigger shows, those live shows as well. Anyway, I'm going to talk right now, kind of to finish off this video, finish off this thought about what AGS can do better in terms of the bot hunt and in terms of this system, because left unchecked, it's not a good thing. And the fact that we know that they're banning these bots, they're working on this problem, they're always trying to perfect and adjust their algorithms as such. I think that the easiest win they've already gotten is we don't have endless spam chat in the chat group. I think that's massive. It was so annoying. It's always annoying in these games when you see these gold sellers and basically just calling to doing this. We've struggled with that in Final Fantasy 14 for years, and in fact still can and still will. They've made a lot of improvement since the beginning, because in 14's case, they finally gave you the ability to right click report, where we didn't have that as a feature for the longest time. But in New World itself, what I think AGS could do better is actually take a page from Final Fantasy 14, and that's putting out a monthly report, just a monthly published statement of how many accounts were banned, suspended, caught for botting, etc., and removed, because then that can have some visual impact to the bot hunters, to us, the players, saying that yes, they are taking action, yes, they do see it. Because right now people just kind of go onto the forums and they vent and say, hey, I'm seeing these bots, but you never see any fluid, like a follow-up. You never see the conclusion of that report. Yes, that person was a bot. Thank you so much. You could even say, and this gets into tricky territory, you could even say like, oh yeah, we did determine that they were a bot. They have been banned, and now you get a little bonus or something like that for reporting it. That gets really tricky waters really quickly. And you don't ever want to create a incentive program for people just constantly on the reporting side of things. We see what that happens within human culture all the time, and it ends up being a very not pretty thing. However, within the reporting section, like even just as a news post over on the official page saying, hey, this month in October, we found, y'all reported this many accounts. We found that 60% of those were actually bots. Those have been banned. The other ones have not been, yada, yada, yada. And that essentially kind of puts a chapter marker on that, because bots are going to be something that the game's always going to battle. And the more that they can define those bots, find out what they're doing, the tighter they can make those kind of those systems. And so it does require this relationship between us and the devs to continue to report them. But then if they could come through and follow through and actually have a system in which that we can see that they're working, and what's being purged, I think that would go a long way. Now, personally speaking, the grand wish of all of this, I don't know if any of you guys were like Warhammer Online players. At some point in Warhammer Online's life before they got, shut down, which is a real tragedy personally, in my opinion. I thought that game was really good. They had this kind of newsletter when you logged into the game. And I think if New World ended up adopting that kind of strategy, you could take some of the things that they're doing on the internet and bring them into the game, like in a game world, right? Like, oh, we have these corrupted bots that these players that have been corrupted, aka they've been turned into bots, and we've purged them, etc. Some interesting stats, some interesting things could be brought into game. They do so at the login screen, but it'd be kind of neat to have, like, I don't know, a monthly newsletter from the devs in the world of Eternum. That would be my ultimate dream. As my voice cracks, puberty is a slow rolling process here over at the channel. So anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts. I want to kind of weigh in on the bot discussion, give you guys my perspective. As a software engineer, I know it's a struggle, it's a constant battle. You're always kind of looking to make sure that you're also not creating a system that starts flagging, players who just play well or very efficiently. We know we've got several here in the community, and yeah, when it comes down to it, if you get flagged and you're not a bot, then you shouldn't ideally have anything to fear, because that essentially could be a system that's proven. But you want them to make sure they have that due diligence, that they're not just going off of somebody who, oh, you got the node before me, all right, I'm going to report you. There should also that gets into tricky waters too, because then you don't want to have any repercussions for reporting in terms of botting perspective. But they could also probably put in some detection if somebody was constantly just like reporting non-bots, and then be like, all right, we're gonna lower the value of their reports going forward. At the end of the day, not knowing their internal processes is probably, I think, part of the problem. And if they were going above and beyond and hitting that kind of monthly milestone of like a report talking about, hey, this is what's going on. They've been sharing lots of cool stats with us, so I don't think it'd be all that hard to make that just an event, a news post on their official site every once in a month. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to know yours. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, again, like I said, hitting that like button, leaving a comment is always great. If you want to get involved, check out the Discord server. Hang out with us over on Twitch on Fridays, where I stream New World as a part of a community game night. That means you just come in, pop in, have fun. We're a pretty chill group, like to do some things that are sometimes challenging. Sometimes we just like to level up weapons. You never know what you're going to get. It should be a pretty organic adventure. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, YouTube's got a couple of recommendations for you. I always think on the left-hand side, but I guess if I'm watching it, it's on your right-hand side. Feel free to check it out if you want to stick with the content. Check out the podcast, or I don't know, check out any of the other things that I got rolling out for you this week. Thanks, guys, for being here. Hopefully you have a great day. Hopefully I'll see you next time. But until then, take care.